Hello everyone, welcome to another video. Today I'm going to be working on something a little bit different for this channel. I'm going to be working on this Makita circular saw. This is something I don't normally work on, so please do not take this as any kind of guide or tutorial. Power tools can be very dangerous if used incorrectly, and I could do something which causes this to be dangerous or something like that. I don't know. I've never worked on a circular saw before, apart from replacing like faulty cables and blown fuses. So please don't take this for any kind of tutorial because I am not an expert in this kind of thing. But I bought this on eBay for £35. That's around about 50 US dollars or thereabout. And I thought, you know what, for £35 you really can't go wrong. These are around about £150 to buy. Maybe a little bit less because this one didn't come with a battery. I ended up having to borrow one from my brother-in-law because I don't actually have any Makita tools. But the reason I bought this, or the reason I even stumbled upon this, was because I was looking for some new power tools, because I'm going to be building a new workshop in the next couple of months, and that's basically going to be in the form of a new shed, a 24-foot by 12-foot shed, which I am doing a little bit of a fundraiser for, so if you do want to contribute to that, there'll be some details in the top pin comment about that. But basically I stumbled upon this and I thought, you know what, £35, you really can't go wrong. There's going to be some usable parts and stuff in this, and if the description's correct and that it is only a trigger switch, then I've got an absolute bargain. All I'll need to do is buy a third-party battery and I'll be good to go. Or rather, well, third-party battery and a charger. But, £35, if I spend like £50-60 on a battery and charger, I've still got myself a decent deal. And, yeah, hopefully we can fix it. So I went on Google looking for the parts that I need. So I went on there looking for a trigger switch. And they were around about £20 to £25 for the genuine Makita ones. But then I went on AliExpress, which is a website which I normally use for buying, like replacement parts for laptops and stuff if I can't get them from the manufacturer. And I managed to find one for £6. £6, and people are selling them for £25, or rather Makita are selling them for £25. So yeah, there we go. Managed to get myself a trigger switch, so I'm going to try and replace that. Hopefully that fixes the issue, and hopefully we can get this working again because they are pretty decent tools. So with that being said, if you are new to the channel, my name is Hakko. Like I said, I am an electronics technician, so if that's something you're into, or if you want to see the DIY build series on the new workshop, get subscribed, turn on the bell notifications, and I'm sure you won't regret it. So with that being said, let's get into this repair. Okay, so the first thing then, I'll just show you what's actually going on with this. So like I said, this didn't come with a battery, and it is a little bit beaten up, but you know what? It's a tool. It's a power tool, more specifically, and they do get thrown around and stuff, so, scratches here and there, is to be expected, right? But basically, I borrowed this battery off my brother-in-law. I actually had a bunch of these LXT tools quite a while back, and I think it was around about 3 or 4 years back, and I basically ended up selling them all to my brother-in-law because I wasn't using them. Kind of regret it now because Makita especially are very good. Well, it's a very good brand, and the LXT brand in particular, the LXT line, is very reliable normally. So yeah, this is the DSS 611, and I've got a 5 amp hour 18 volt battery. But basically, this isn't working at all. It's showing no signs of life. You can see here we've got a 3/4 charge battery. But if I attempt to use it, nothing happens. Nothing at all. So the description, which I'll pop up on the screen now, that basically said that the trigger switch is suspected to be faulty, and the person actually dropped it off at my house because he didn't live far. So he dropped it off at my house, and he explained to me that he'd had his, I think, father-in-law or father look at this, and he said that it was a faulty trigger switch. So that's why I went and bought one of these. It's not the end of the world if it's not this, because like I said, it was only £6. Didn't cost a lot of money at all, so not the end of the world if it's not that. If it is, for example, the brushes, then, I'll have to source some brushes for it, but it is what it is. But like I said, it's not working at all. No signs of life at all, so yeah, I'm not sure how difficult this is going to be to actually get into, to be honest. I mean, I can see, obviously, that there's a bunch of screws all dotted around, but other than that, I'm not really sure. I'm assuming that, number one, that's going to have to come off. and probably this cap where the brushes are as well. But yeah, good news is it comes with an Allen key. Get in. So I'm going to figure out how to actually disassemble this. I'll probably fast forward through this, to be honest, because, well, this isn't really a guide. Like I said, this is for entertainment purposes only, I think. Unless I manage to fix it, then I can call myself a power tool expert. But yeah, let me know what your favourite brand of tool is. Me personally, like I said, I do like the Makita brand. I haven't really had that many power tools because I've not... Well, I mean, I like DIY and I do watch quite a bit of DIY on YouTube. You know, I watch people like the DIY guy. And there's a bunch of other channels who I watch as well. But, you know, in terms of actually doing DIY, I don't get that much time to do it, so you know I don't really own many tools, but I'm hoping to change that because I'm thinking about doing some DIY projects. Like I said, I'm going to be working on the new workshop, so that's something that's going to be coming up. I'm going to be doing a little bit of a series on that while I'm building that. Other than that, I plan to build a pond, which I might do a few videos on, maybe. And some other stuff as well. So I've got to do some stuff around the house. I've got to do some repairs in the house and stuff like that. We've just recently had a leak, so I'm going to be having to strip all the shower out and fix that. Well, I don't have to. The landlord could do it, but I've offered to do it. So basically, there's going to be a few videos where I may need to use some power tools and stuff like that. So yeah, stick around if that's the sort of stuff you want. If you do want to watch that sort of stuff, let me know. Actually, it doesn't look like this cover needs to come off where these brushes are. It looks like it separates here, so yeah, let's just try and do that, I suppose. I'm just going to grab these screws because I couldn't pull them out with my hand. It does look like this has got to come off though. Got the old adjustable. Should do the job. Or at least I hope it'll do the job. Is it reverse thread? It really is. It's reverse thread. That's annoying. No, it doesn't matter. Yeah, that was a bit strange. Okay, there we go. Just got to be careful here because there's going to be springs around here for the trigger switch and the safety catch. There we go. Good. Awesome. Okie doke. So, nothing too complicated by the look of it. Just need to clean out, but other than that, okay, the safety catch was a little bit messed up. Well, the spring was a little bit messed up on the safety catch, should I say. What's the condition of that? It looks okay. Needs a bit of a clean, but other than that, should be absolutely fine. So this here, basically, that stops you from pressing the button. It's like a dead man's switch sort of thing. It stops you from pressing the button. Obviously, if you're not a dead man's switch, kind of like the opposite, but I don't know. So maybe someone in the comments will know what it's called. Like I said, I'm not a power tool repair tech, so yeah, there you go. Right, so this thing, by the look of it, so that's going to be ground, And yeah, just 3 wires, 2 going into the middle and 1 going into this one here. So I'm assuming it's just going to be power in and power out sort of thing. Right, okay, let me just pop this battery on a second. There we go. Yeah, completely dead. Okay. Right, so powering from the battery from there. That goes into the white. And then into... So this is the control module. This is like the little computer. I hope it's not that, because I did look for those and they were pretty expensive. Alright. So 1 going into the computer and 1 going into the motor itself. Alright, so let's remove this, shall we? So I'm going to be careful here not to bridge those wires. In fact, let me unplug that battery. That's a little bit dangerous. It's rather silly of me, isn't it? Yeah. So obviously, if my wires were to bridge, so for example, if these 2 wires here were to bridge with that wire while the battery's in, it's going to set the drill off. Not the drill, the saw off, assuming it is that what's actually wrong with it, of course. But yeah, we don't want to do that. We want to avoid that if we can. So here's the new one. And I'll see if I can open this up in a minute. Once I've confirmed it is actually that what's faulty, then I'll open this up. I'll open that one up and just see if there's any way of actually repairing it, just to make it a little bit more interesting. So we got these ones going into here. That's not far enough. I'll just twist those a little bit just to make it easy to get those into the terminal. There we go. And then we've got 1 going into there. I hate terminals. Okay, there we go. I'm going to tighten this up a little bit. I'm going to get a small Phillips bit on that, because these ones are flat bits and these ones are Phillips bits. Flat bits are the worst invention ever, just for the record, for any manufacturers out there. Don't use flat screws. It's annoying. Alright, there we go. That is done, I guess. So what I will do is, I mean, I'm not going to do it right now, but I will clean all of this out. It's got a lot of sawdust inside it, and I'd rather clean all of that out. The problem is I haven't got a long enough brush to get in there, so I think the best thing to do is just leave it for now. And when I get a longer brush, I keep meaning to go and get some new paint brushes, because I use them for cleaning out games consoles as well. So I think what I'll do is, once I've repaired this, I'll pop to town tomorrow. I said that a couple of weeks ago, to be honest, and completely forgot. But never mind. Okay, so that seems to go into position properly. So yeah, like I say, I will clean this out, but there's no major rush on that, I guess. Just make sure all of that is tucked in nicely. There we go. Yep, that seems to operate correctly, I guess. Let's not worry about that one for now. Let's just pop a couple of screws back in. I'm not going to put all the screws back in for now. Just enough to make it safe to actually operate. Mind you, to be safe to operate, you'd need someone other than me. But remember, that's reverse thread. Quite strange, that. Unless it's like a safety thing. Let's just tighten that up partially. Let's not worry for now. Let's just get the moment of truth, shall we? Is it going to work? Ready? No. Oh, no. Oh, it's not the switch. Ah, you suck. Well, this is why you never believe people who don't know what they're doing. My dad looked at it. Did he? Or did he just guess? Methinks he just guessed. Oh, that's annoying. At least it makes for a bit more of an interesting repair, though. So I guess it's not the switch. So the one way to find out if it's the switch or not is to take my multimeter, pop the multimeter into continuity mode, but it's already on. And if this switch is working, if I touch those two contacts there, so the contacts where the wire was, if you touch those two contacts there and then press the button, we should hear a beep if it's working. Yeah, that switch is working absolutely fine. Someone was either wrong or was lying, because it wasn't the switch. I guess I should have checked that before I actually bought one, but it doesn't matter because, you know, those switches, I'm sure they will fail, and, you know, that's genuine. So, I could sell that for more than the cost of that switch. Think about it. Well, it's time to have another look, I suppose. I don't know how much the brushes cost, and I don't know how much the... well, I know roughly how much the control board costs. It's about £20 to £25. Maybe a little bit more. I suppose it depends where you get it from. I don't think I've got a screwdriver to open that. May have to improvise. The good old find anything that's flat and it will do. Does anyone remember when there was a kid who used to try and open stuff with a butter knife? Say try. It was actually a very effective screwdriver. See? It's basically a butter knife, right? Right. Okay. I don't actually know how to test these brushes. I might have to do some research on that, to be honest. I know that these pop out, but I don't know how they pop out. Yeah, not sure. I think I'm going to have to do some research on that and figure out how to actually open those and remove those brushes to test them, and also try and figure out how to actually test them, because I don't know. Never done it. Not a clue, but I think I'll pause the video here, do a little bit of research, and then come back to it, I suppose. Right, okay, it's the next day. So, thankfully, I could get both of these on next day delivery with Amazon. So, what I've got here is the brushes. So, I've got some replacement brushes, which, well, the code doesn't match. There's a number out on the code, but it does say that it's basically supports this model, circular saw. So, hopefully, they're correct. But I'm not going to open those yet, because I did also buy the controller, which I'm going to try first, I think, because that's probably going to be a little bit easier to change, I guess. So, yeah, I mean, I guess this is why you don't believe everything you read on an eBay listing, or, in my case, what the person tells you. Because, obviously, the person was wrong. And that's what you get when you rely on an amateur diagnosis, I suppose. Which, again, I mean, I'm an amateur myself. I don't mess with power tools myself, but probably shouldn't have relied on the, amateur diagnosis and just gone ahead and bought the Switch. But it doesn't matter, because the original Switch is, again, like I said, original. And basically, that's worth more than the copy. So I could just sell that, make a little bit of money back on that. But other than that, it's an experience, I suppose. So, yeah, I'm just going to pop this off. So I'm going to remember that white is for positive. Black is obviously for negative, and this, I'm assuming, is going to be some sort of a sense wire, I suppose. So I'm going to flick that off. Actually, no, I don't need to remove the white wire. I need to remove the black wire and the yellow wire. Alright. Pop. They're on there a little bit tight. So there we go. And there's also a lug here, which I'm going to have to, I guess, cut and then solder and heat shrink. I haven't got any of these lugs. I think that's what they're called. So I'm going to have to just chop that and, well, solder the other wire on, I suppose. It's fine. It's all good. Pop. And I'm going to cut that one as well. Pop. Okay, so there's the old controller. Okay, that's got to be disconnected from here as well. There we go. So there's the old controller. So red wire is going to go into here, this little junction. I could really do with soldering those wires, but I'll wait until I've actually confirmed that this is the issue. The only reason I want to solder this is because it gives for a much stronger connection. So I'd rather solder it for the final repair. Okay, so yellow wire. That's got it. There we go. Alright. Next is the ground wire. There we go. And finally, the other ground wire. Strip that back a little bit. Okay, and just as a temporary measure, I don't want to solder that again until I actually confirm that it's working. So what I'm going to do, just as a temporary measure, is I'll test this, but I'll test it by holding that ground wire together rather than, mind you, I could connect up a Wago to it just temporarily. A Wago, it's like a little push fit connector thing. Electricians use them. They're really handy to have some lying around for stuff like this. Just making temporary connections. They can actually be used for a permanent connection. Once they're locked in, but I'll solder it if it actually works. Alright, there we go, we are grounded. Well, we've got a guard on that, but again, I think I mentioned it just before I stopped recording. Don't try this at home. It's the computer unit, the control unit. Kind of like a mini ECU. Yeah, there we go. That's working with that new ECU. So, a little bit loud. Yeah. Right, there we go. Okay, so I guess I can make some permanent connections on this now then. That is absolutely brilliant. So, realistically, if I'd have actually gone with my gut instinct and not ordered parts first, it would have cost me a whole £23 to fix this, but instead I've ended up spending an extra £10 on a switch, and honestly, I'll probably just return those. Actually, no, I probably won't. I'll probably keep them for, you know, when these brushes do eventually fail, because they will fail eventually, and it's good to have some spares, you know. They are pretty prone to failing over time. But yeah, there we go. That is working absolutely fine, and I can get this soldered and get it back together. I've just got to find some heat shrink tubing to be able to make a proper job of it. But actually, then again, you know what? This had a wire lug on it before, so I mean, my wire lug is the same size pretty much as the wire lug that was on it. So you know what? I'm just going to use that. It had a wire lug on it, so it can have a wire lug on it again. Now we're just going to try and remember how to put the darn thing back together. Right, there we go. Locked and loaded. So yeah, I've got to say, I quite enjoyed that little repair. Well, if you could call it a repair. I would try and figure out what's gone wrong with this. And I might do that as a, you know, like little 5-minute video, just try and rip it apart. But it does look like it's moulded in, so even if I take this apart, I don't think I'm going to be able to actually put it back together or anything. So I really don't think it's worth it. But that being said, we now have a working circular saw, which is brilliant, absolutely fantastic. So there we go. That is one fixed Makita circular saw. If I'd have actually listened to my gut instinct and actually diagnosed it before I bought the parts, then I wouldn't have had to spend the extra money on the switch. But like I said, this is an original switch, and I could resell that for more than what I paid for the switch that I bought to replace it. I should have got this on the multimeter and tested it first. That was a little stupid of me. But the problem is, when you're recording videos on YouTube, when you're doing this for content, which is exactly the reason that I actually did this, when you're doing this for content, you want the stuff there, and that's why I stock a wide array of different parts for consoles and stuff, because at least then I can fix the issue there and then, rather than having to wait. Whereas with stuff like this, stuff that I don't normally do, I don't have the parts on hand. So I tried to preemptively buy the part that the person who sold it said was faulty. I assumed that the person who had looked at it had actually tested the switch on the multimeter. It's very easy to do. All you've got to do is find your input and your output on the switch, put your multimeter onto continuity mode, and then press the switch and see if it beeps. If it doesn't beep, then you've got a faulty switch. If it does beep, then obviously your switch is working. So, you know, it is what it is, but at the end of the day, I did manage to figure out what was wrong with it. I mean, it can't really be many parts. There's not much to these. You know, it's a motor, some brushes, a little controller, and a switch, basically, and a battery, and that's pretty much it. So yeah, that being said though, this is working, and I can use this to build my new shed, which I am hoping to do a build series on, and I'm also going to be doing a fundraiser. I'll leave a PayPal email address in the video description if you do want to contribute towards that, and also in the top pin comment as well. So if you do want to contribute towards that little project and also see it on YouTube, then, you know, donations are always welcome, but it's happening either way by the summer. I do need to get out of this workshop because it's unsafe for the winter. So yeah, that being said, thank you very much for watching. I really do appreciate it. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to give me a thumbs up, leave me a comment in the comment section down below, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button as well. I really do appreciate it. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye for now.